I have a quorum. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully we'll check with him in a minute and make sure he joins. Regular meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council is called to order. Roll call.
Susan Skerries,
Here.
Joseph Jones,
Here.
Mike Jones,
Here.
and Teresa Harms.
Here.
And I do not see Mike Lafredo.
Okay. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Of it. Roll call.
Susan Skerries,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2103, amending chapter 17408, Board of Ordinances relating to parking for personal and recreational vehicles.
Mayor, if you would just face your microphone when you speak,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
cut out a little bit.
Using the other laptop. That's part of it, I guess. Okay. Want me to repeat?
I think we heard it.
Public hearing on ordinance 2103, ordinance amending chapter 17408, Windsor Heights Code of Ordinances relating to parking for personal and recreational vehicles. We got any public comment that was requested or anything?
I did not receive anything in my inbox.
Okay. Any of the public want to make a comment or whatever? If so, let us know who you are and we'll go from there. Hearing none, motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2103.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skerries,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yeah.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of the first reading of ordinance 2103. That will amend the parking for personal and recreational vehicles.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Discussion by council. Roll call.
Susan Skerries,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is public hearing on ordinance 21-04, amending chapter 9701 of the Windsor Heights Code relating to stormwater sump pump connections.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion from the public, Travis, that you've got, or anyone who wants to speak on this?
I did not receive anything on this.
Pardon?
I did not receive any comments.
Okay. Anyone from the public want to make any comments? Okay. Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Second.
Susan Skerries,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
The first reading of that ordinance 21-04, amending the Windsor Heights Code relating to stormwater and sump pump connections. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Council discussion? Hearing none and roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike LaFredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is public forum. Time set aside for any comments from the public on anything other than what's on the agenda. Got anybody that would like to speak? Please identify yourself and request. Okay. In that case, hearing none, so much, we'll close the public forum. Next item is motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Discussion? Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike LaFredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is new business, discussion of the North Walnut Creek Bank Stabilization Study. Justin, Bolton, and Mink. I believe the request from staff is accept and file for future reference. I would take a motion to accept and file, and then if there's any discussion, we'll do that.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Justin did prepare a presentation, Mr. Burgess.
Okay. We will hear Justin's presentation. Justin, you have the floor.
Travis, he's gonna have to.
All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen.
I can.
Okay, I will just give kind of a quick, brief rundown of the report that you all have in front of you that was in the packet. This is the North Walnut Creek stabilization study that we performed. The location, it would be from College Drive up to Hickman. This is really the only portion of North Walnut Creek that the city owns property. The rest of it south is mostly on private property. So this section's from College to Hickman. Just kind of a quick overview of North Walnut Creek. It lies within the Walnut Creek watershed district, and it covers nearly 83 square miles. It's located within 9 communities and covers about 80% urban land. So this is the entire Walnut Creek watershed map, and you kind of can see how far it reaches up. And we're talking about the North Walnut Creek, which is kind of a small portion of it. So for the study, we collected some data back in December of last year using a GPS unit, just going through and walking the creek stream bed. A few collection items we have were sanitary infrastructure, whether it be marked sewer pipe or mostly just manholes. Storm sewer infrastructure, any outfalls or manholes located along the area, top of bank, bottom of bank, fence along the area, large trees, trail edge, washout areas, and then past projects. You can see those, most or all the collected data that's in the maps. There's 3 maps kind of breaking it up into quadrants, kind of at the back of the report if you want some more information on those. With that, we pulled them some mapping, just showing where these areas are at. And from the collected items that we collected with the GPS unit, we got some data from City of Clive on their sanitary sewer system that runs through there, and from the WRA with their sanitary sewer system. So that is all encapsulated within these maps. So kind of gathering all that information, we kind of looked at some possible project areas. The major part of it was to find threats to public infrastructure, whether it be sanitary sewer, piping, manholes, storm sewer outfalls and manholes, the trail, and et cetera. So this doesn't include any private property whatsoever. So no fences, landscaping and whatnot. And all the repairs will be on public property. So project one is closer down to College Avenue, College Drive there. There's a approximately 36-inch diameter pipe outfall that collects drainage area from the east and north. As you can see in the picture, bottom of the pipe is exposed, probably about 2 or 3 feet. And with this, if this pipe were to collapse or any more undermining, the trail isn't too far away there either. So for the proposed project to be similar to what we've done in the past along there last year, we'd stabilize the creek bed or the creek bank and then add riprap out from that so it stops from washing. The estimated construction cost for this project is $100,000. Project two is farther north, closer to Hickman. This includes protecting storm sewer and sanitary sewer infrastructure. There's storm sewer sticking out of the bank. It's a little hard to see in that picture, but it sticks out a few feet. After talking with Dalton a few times, it sounds like that's been sticking there for a while and some other maintenance has been done. This is part of the Clive system. So that pipe drains some streets farther to the west in the Clive system. There's some sanitary sewer main that runs through there, as long as a couple of manholes. And again, for this project, we stabilize the stream bank and add some riprap on that storm outfall and probably cut that back and do some other improvements to that. The estimated cost in this project is $110,000. For project number 3, and this is probably the one we've heard more of recently. There's some sanitary sewer through this area with a couple of manholes. So the project would protect those. It's at the convergence of Rockland Creek and North Walnut Creek. So there's some flows coming out in Rockland Creek there that is creating some erosion. That's kind of primarily what's causing the erosion, in my opinion. With this project, there'll be some removals of large trees, private fencing, and some landscaping located on city property. Just kind of going back at the mapping, the parcel data was pulled from this Cole County GIS, so you can kind of see those in the map where the property is and where city property is. The proposed project will be just stabilizing the creek bank there. It's about $175,000 for this part. Project 4 is just a little farther north upstream. Again, it's just protecting sanitary sewer infrastructure with the sanitary sewer main and the manholes. This is kind of close proximity to the 2008 project we completed. If you remember, the 2008 project was more of a emergency use. There was actually exposed sanitary sewer line right there, so that was a very big fast push to try to get that covered. In this instance, there isn't anything immediate danger, but just one of those projects that would benefit with that sanitary sewer. This would be stream bank stabilization. The estimated cost would be $90,000. Project 5, which is farther south, is a similar project. We'll be protecting sanitary sewer main and the manholes. This one would be right around $100,000. And the last project is project 6. Again, we're protecting sanitary sewer infrastructure with sanitary, and this is about another $90,000. So as you can see, most of it is protecting sanitary sewer infrastructure. Just kind of running down a quick summary. We had identified 6 projects. The projects are listed in order of importance, but 4 through 6 are kind of interchangeable. None of these projects were really urgent that I wouldn't deem that you had to go out and do something kind of complete when funds are available. But I would suggest monitoring them yearly just to make sure the stream isn't changing. Anything else is happening just with all the flash flooding that kind of occurs. So the stream can change pretty rapidly. One thing to note about these projects is there is limited access to these sites, requiring probably trail closures and tree clearing just to get at them, along with getting access agreements for them through private property to get at them as well. And depending upon what comes out of them during final design, some permitting may be required from the DNR and other places. It's kind of a quick rundown. I'll be happy to take any questions.
So you've got, I do, Justin, so it's, you've got them prioritized, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so obviously these should be a part of the CIP going forward. Are you, we're doing this in Windsor Heights. Are other municipalities north of us doing similar work?
I believe Clive is usually trying to do some sort of projects. I know Johnson's doing some projects, which North Walnut Creek kind of stems up that way. A lot of times the cities aren't doing projects for private property.
Well, it would make sense to kind of coordinate those, wouldn't it?
Some of these projects are kind of standalone
Okay.
as funding comes along or the need arises. So these are really just stabilizing the bank. So it's not affecting, or it's not reducing flooding by any means. It's just protecting the infrastructure that you have.
Okay, that answers my question. If they're standalone projects.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Do you have your hand up?
Dave, I'd like to talk if it's,
I was going to say, I thought I saw your hand.
oh, sorry. Yes. So real quick, just, so I agree that we need to look at putting these into our CIP and have that conversation there. Question is are there any, I don't think we have anything specifically, this hasn't been in part of that overall conversation. I don't think. I guess my question is, are there any other external dollars that we could look at for potential, not necessarily grant funds, but where's the best way outside of general fund dollars, or where would dollars come from in order to make these repairs? What would be potential funding?
Sure.
I don't know that.
I don't know if I can really answer that. If a Dalton or Dennis question where the funding from that is.
So we got funding for the project we did last summer through the NRCS and U.S. Department of Ag. And so just kind of having a plan that identifies projects will make us competitive for grants like that in the future. So it lines up well with our watershed management plan too, that all the suburb communities put together for Walnut Creek.
So do those come annually? Are those opportunities, Dalton, or could you give a little bit more insight on? I'm just trying to figure out how do we, as we look at putting this into our CIP, how can we maximize, any dollars to go into this?
That's a good question. The grant that we got last year was a direct result of the flooding that we got back in 2018, as I understand it. So it's not like they have as far as I know, they don't have like an annual granting program for this specific type of project. It's called the State Revolving Fund. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of it. Huge projects that are on the order of magnitude of millions of dollars are really competitive for that, but we're talking really kind of small potatoes. Even if we lumped all 6 of these together, it would be kind of a pittance compared to most of the applications for that. But yeah, it's a lot of those grants come hazard mitigation grants, and funding becomes available directly following emergency proclamation.
Yeah, and
Okay,
if funds do come available, our funding people can help with that too.
Dave, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Justin, what's the approximate timeline on a project? Give us like kind of a range. Like how long would it take to do one of these phases? I'm thinking more along the lines of timing of the year and how long the trail will be closed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think the last one we did last year, depend upon the weather. I mean, they're pretty quickly in the contractor. I think it was maybe the trail was closed for a week or two. With some of these, it's probably better to do it in the dry part of the year. And just with the creek, being able to cross, there's possibility of crossing the creek while doing these. So you have less of those flash floods coming down. But I believe that was just a week or two when those last year.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion by council? Travis, did we have a motion to accept and file?
Yeah, motion by Lafredo, seconded by Susan.
Okay, no further discussion. Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of the agreement with JEO Consulting Group not to exceed 157,380 for the performance of the flood reduction resiliency analysis. And I guess authorize me to sign any documents related to this action. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of resolution 2021-20, set the time and place for a public hearing on the proposed budget amendment for fiscal year 2020-2021 for the city.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? That resolution will be for 5/17. The public hearing, roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Next item is reports. Teresa?
I've got, it's
Okay.
Teresa.
I know a
Proud
couple
of you.
people and I goof that up every now and then. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Please.
it's all good. I have nothing, Dave. Thank you.
Okay. Mike Jones,
Nothing from me.
Mike Alfredo,
They summed it up for me too, Dave. Nothing to
Okay.
report.
Joseph Jones,
No, sir. Nothing for me.
Susan,
Nothing for me.
Dennis,
Nothing for me. The hits keep on rolling.
okay, roll call for, or motion to adjourn to the council work session.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Lafredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Okay.